Welcome to Kalus's Gaming Table. I am Kalus. After 18 months of waiting, watching the stretch goals get posted, then smashed, and after a few less fun things, I've finally received my Battletech Mercenaries Kickstarter pledge. Huzzah! The Battletech Mercenaries Boxed set is the centerpiece of this campaign, and Catalyst Game Labs has given us another set in the same vein as A Game of Armored Combat, the Clan Invasion box, and the Alpha Strike box. You'll get mechs, rules, maps, and several other neat things I'll be going over. One big thing, and that is new, you'll be getting plastic vehicles. I was not provided this copy of the Battletech Mercenaries box set. This is my personal copy that I received from the Kickstarter. The Battletech Mercenaries boxed set is produced by Catalyst Game Labs and retails for $75 US. This box contains 8 battle mechs and 4 vehicles, all in plastic. 2 full-color, double-sided 8x22-inch map sheets, 2 punch boards of additional counters, a 32-page rulebook, a 24-page record sheets booklet, a 16-page Mercenaries Primer booklet, No One Left Behind, a 36-page short story written by Michael J. Ciravella, 8 double-sided MechWarrior pilot cards, 12 double-sided Alpha Strike cards, 99 Battlefield support cards, heavy stock reference sheet, a double-sided laminated poster, 2 6-sided dice. Let's get to the unboxing, and then we'll go over everything in a bit more detail.
It's time to get to the unboxing of the big boy from my pledge from the Mercenaries Kickstarter, the Mercenaries Boxed set. I got the limited edition box set cover since it was at no charge. I'm sure at some point I'll get the regular edition, but for right now, this is what I've got, and I'm looking forward to opening it. If you look at the back, you're going to see the contents of it, and this is a very fun-filled box containing 8 mechs, 4 vehicles, and a bunch of other stuff. We are going to go through all of that, so let's get to it. Alright, so the first 2 things we see are all the plastic mechs, along with the new bit of fiction, No One Left Behind. One thing that I have really enjoyed about all of the Battletech box sets is that they do contain a little novella, or short story, whatever you want to classify this as, and they typically have something to do with the box set itself. We'll certainly be reading that. But since we're here, let's take a look at the models. First up, we have the Flea. This is a 20-ton light mech. My first experience with this was with the Harebrained Schemes Battletech game with a heavy metal expansion. These became very annoying, especially when they would run up and hit my guys with flamers. It's very nicely detailed. It'll be a good addition to my light forces. Next up, we've got the 30-ton Firefly. This guy I am not familiar with. I don't think it was in the Harebrained Schemes game. But, again, it's a light mech, so the game is certainly short on those since it seems to concentrate on heavies and assaults, but I'm looking forward to testing this out on the battlefield. Next up, we have the Chameleon. This is a 50-ton heavy mech. From what I have read about it, it was originally designed as a trainer mech. Weapons at almost every bracket. It's got jump jets. It's got a good movement profile. But as the Succession Wars wore on, mechs could no longer strictly be dedicated to training, especially when you actually needed fighting units. It's a good looking model. I like the pose on it. It kind of reminds me of, the legs of a phoenix hawk. Here we have the Star Slayer. This is another 50-ton mech. I don't know much about it. I do remember this from the Mech Commander 2 game. I think it was on the cover. It's got a nice big shoulder-mounted cannon, kind of like the Hollander. It does have one fist, so it can punch, and then it's got a cannon for its other arm. Very nice. Here we have the Quick Draw. 60-ton heavy mech. It's one of the, at least for me, was one of the first heavy mechs that I got in the Harebrained Schemes Battletech game. 4 medium lasers, LRM-10, and I think some small lasers maybe? Or an SRM? Not particularly great against mechs of its own weight class, but against smaller units, it's fast and it hits hard. It's a really nice looking model, much better than the original line art, but let's face it, that's pretty much the case for almost all of the old mechs. Next we have the Caesar. This is a 70-ton mech that incorporates a lot of the technology that the Inner Sphere was able to recover from the Helm memory core. It's got an ERPPC and a Gauss rifle and some pulse lasers, including a couple in the rear. But it has an XL engine, which means it has to be careful because it is vulnerable to a torso kill. However, it looks nice. Certainly an upgraded cataphract. Very slick looking model. Next we have the 60-ton Ostel. This guy I have almost no knowledge of. Most of the Ost mechs I remember from, I think, TRO 3025, but they were pretty ugly and nobody had them, and at the time all you could do was get them in metal. This guy looks great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on the field of battle as well. Last for the mechs, we've got the 100-ton Devastator. And as the name implies, this guy is a brute hitting heavy. It does have an XL engine, however it's got a ton of armor, and depending upon the variant, it's got some great long-range weapons, whether it's the 2 Gauss and 2 PPC variant or some of the downgraded versions. I've got a 3D printed version of this. Definitely not something I would like to go up against if I can avoid it. Now the big thing that the Mercenaries box set came with are vehicles. And that's something that is new to Catalyst Game Labs. And you get 2 Maxims and 2 Galleons. The Maxim is a 50-ton hover tank. Whether it's used as a tank, you can also transport troops with it. This is a very nice looking model. Looks like the turret also turns, although I'd be careful. It's a hovercraft, so it's going to have some flexibility in movement and on terrain. However, at least with Total Warfare, hovercraft can be very fragile. And then we've got the Galleon light tank. And looking at the Galleon online, it's got like 1 medium laser and 2 small lasers. It's a 30-ton tracked tank, but it is a support vehicle. I would not use it to charge into front lines, use it to flank, use it to distract. But I'm definitely enjoying what CGL is doing with the vehicles. I went heavy with the vehicles with the Kickstarter. Looking forward to seeing them in action. Next up, we have the vehicle cards. And these are going to use the more simplified battlefield support rules and vehicle rules that are in the Mercenaries box set. I will be doing a bit more in-depth analysis of these. Then we also have the Battlefield Support deck, the rules of which are also going to be in the Mercenaries box set. We've got the Alpha Strike cards for the various mechs and vehicles that are in there. As well as the Mech Warrior cards. Each one of the mechs has its own double-sided card with a warrior and the faction that they're with. Never actually used any of these, but I do enjoy looking at them for the paint schemes, and it's fun to read the fluff. As with all of these box sets, you get your generic 2d6. It would have been nice if they had put some nicer dice in here, especially for the limited edition box set, but you got 2 dice, and that's all you really need for the game. More is nice, but 2 is the bare minimum. Alright. Go ahead and see what's under the vehicles. Alright. Next up, we've got the rule book. Standard, high quality. I've glanced through other people's copies, and it's got options to create your own mercenary company. Goes over the Battlefield Support rules. Going with a Chaos campaign. Linked mission sets as opposed to just, the standard battles. Objectives. The various tracks. Now that I've got my own copy, I'll be able to look at this at a bit more in depth. And then you have the mech sheets. It's like 2 for each. Different variants. There's the Caesar. We've got the Devastator, that's the DVS-2. That's the one I fielded before. That is an absolute blast to run, literally. And this one I'll have to give a try on, although it's 3,100 battle value. This one's 24, almost 2,500 battle value, so that one's this guy, the DVS-11. It's going to be expensive, boy, but looks like fun. Alright, we've got a primer. And this is the standard, well, I don't know about the standard, but it's a good Battletech primer. Looks like it's going to go over the various mercenary commands that, you might run across or serve with in the Inner Sphere. It's got some logos, it's got some information on them. Very cool. And here we have a map of the Inner Sphere, circa 3058. Showing the clan invasion corridor. I'd like to get a better picture of that. And here, much like with the other Battletech box sets, they have some cardboard cutouts. We've got some additional vehicles and infantry. Looks like machine gun nests, infantry, some track, vedettes, a long tom, mobile HQ, and I know some of this stuff they actually have in plastic. I haven't gotten it yet. And yet we have yet more stuff. Bet you a lot of the stuff is great for objectives, actual battle armor. Actually, I have some battle armor here, which is nice. Weapon emplacements, ammo containers, parts caches, so all kinds of neat stuff can be used for objectives. Here we have the cheat sheets. This looks like cheat sheet for doing the battlefield support stuff. That is something that I'm definitely interested in looking at. And then a bunch of vehicle stats, going from the Savannah Master at 5 tons all the way up to the Behemoth Heavy Tank at 100 tons. So we got some vehicles and then the emplacements down here. Very nice. I remember seeing this. This is kind of a contract. It's dry erase, so you can put stuff on here and erase it later. I'll probably make a photocopy of it or scan it and print it. Looks like this is where you can create your own mercenary contract to give it more of a feel. And then the actual flow chart and steps within the campaign. Very cool. And then here's a record of your contracts to show what you've done, whether you've succeeded or failed, costs, and everything. And here we have some information about the various lances in your mercenary command, as well as the actual mercenary commander. I do like this kind of thing because it allows you to be a bit more creative, creating your own company. You might do a little mech commander self-insert. I really dig this kind of thing. And one of the things I've been looking forward to, some new maps. So I won't say all the ones that we have been using are stale, but, well, they're stale. This one has a lot of water on it. Gonna need some mobile mechs to get around this guy, otherwise there's going to be a lot of shooting across the water here. Depth 3, that's going to be fun. Don't fall in breach. And this looks like a more standard map. Lots of trees, a lot of terrain. Definitely a fire and maneuver map. A lot of stuff blocking line of sight. A lot of obstacles, so you gotta line up your shots, get it up close and personal. Here's the other map. And a river runs through it. Again, you're looking for a fairly mobile force, although if you can get up here, you pretty much see everything on the battlefield, and they're going to have to cross a river to get at you. It does make you a very big target, however. Nice little cluster of woods here. And we got another map with a river running through it. A little bluff there at the top. Again, lots of trees. I like that. I like things that break up line of sight or make shots more difficult, forcing you to get up close and personal. I mean, anything that takes the clan's long-range advantage away, I am 100% for. Filthy clanners. But that's it. That is at least the basic contents of the Mercenaries box set. Now, I do plan to go over this all a bit more in depth, as well as reviewing the battlefield support cards, going over creating your own mercenary company, and going over the Chaos campaign portions of that. A lot of really good stuff in here, and I think this retails for $75. You get a great bang for your buck at that price point. But that is the Mercenaries box set.
The 32-page rulebook is not a full rulebook, namely, You still need either the rules from a game of Armored Combat, Total Warfare, or the Battle Mech Manual. The first half of the book contains the battlefield support rules as well as how to use the battlefield support cards. I played with the test BSP rules when they were released last year, but have not played with the updated rules, at least not yet. Those rules are pretty straightforward, with clear instructions and diagrams showing the anatomy of the card and how to use them. The vehicles remind me more from Alpha Strike. They can do some damage and distract the Op 4, but they don't take away from the star of the show, namely battle mechs. One big complaint about these is for the infantry and battle armor. With these BSP rules, all BSP units move first, then the mechs do. The issue here is that unless an Op 4 mech willingly stops into a hex with your elementals, they're never going to get a swarm attack. For some Vs, like the Maxim, you have multiple damage rolls, but it's an all or nothing strike. If you miss the initial shot, you do no damage. I would like to see some multiple attack roll options, like we have in Alpha Strike, because all or nothing is frustrating. The second half of the book is how you build your very own mercenary company, and how to play a very simple contract. It walks you through the process of building your own company, step by step. It also walks you through an initial contract and how to play it out. It gives you options for battlefield support, as well as acquiring additional mechs for future conflicts. Where this rule set fails for me is there's no clear guidance on how to create future contracts. As I said, there's a possibility to get more mechs, but they're all from the Mercenaries Boxed set. It would be nice to have a more cohesive rule set for this, including some different eras, different mech tables, even if you're just pulling from a game of Armored Combat. Now, having said all of this, there might be more substantial rules coming from either Hotspot's Hinterlands or the future Field Manual Mercenaries. If so, part of my complaint will be retracted, but Catalyst Game Lab should put something out there to be used with this box set. The 99 battlefield support cards, 50 of which are vehicle cards, and the remaining 49 are the actual battlefield support cards. Each BSP card has the point cost, a target number, if any, and the effects, all on the card. This helps you with not having to constantly reference the rulebook. Now, I know y'all have been polite, just tapping your foot with a little bit of impatience. The big thing for most players are the plastics that come with the Battletech Mercenaries box set, so time to go over those. Here we go. I am going to go over these lightest to heaviest. Coming in at 20 tons, you have the Flea FLE-17. My first real experience with the Flea was from the Harebrained Schemes Battletech game. It's light, fast, and has a flamer. Much like the Locust, the Flea is speedy, but it also has mask. If you don't flub your roll, that gives the Flea a lot more mobility on the battlefield. The Flea had all but become extinct until the Wolf's Dragoons arrived in the Inner Sphere. Over time, the Dragoons required the Fleas to be manufactured to replenish losses, and eventually the plans were acquired by the Capellan Confederation. The Flea is armed with 2 medium pulse lasers, 2 small lasers, and a flamer. The Flea can zip around and use its speed for protection, especially when the mask is active. It's decently armored for a light mech, though, but it only has 10 heat sinks. This is a great harassing unit to get close to something that has questionable heat management, and then you hit them with a flamer. It's fast, but it's also fragile, so keep it away from anything else with pulse lasers. The FFL-4B Firefly originally walked off the assembly line in 2779, but over the course of the brutal early succession wars, it also all but went extinct. It was reintroduced to the Inner Sphere by Wolf's Dragoons. The Firefly is a fantastic 30-ton scout, able to run in and out of position, and if needed, jump out of danger. It's armed with 3 medium lasers, 1 LRM-5, and 1 AMS. With only 10 heat sinks, you'll have to be careful not to overheat, but with the jump jets, you can hopefully get out of harm's way before those heat penalties start stacking up. Moving on to the medium mechs, we're going to go to the CLN-7V Chameleon. This 50-ton mech had originally been designed as a training unit, with the ability to strike at all range brackets and the mobility to either run or jump into position. The Chameleon is armed with 1 large laser, 2 medium lasers, 3 small lasers, and 2 machine guns for insult to injury. One of the big things that the Chameleon will help teach aspiring mech warriors is heat management. The Chameleon only has 10 heat sinks to handle that rather diverse weapons loadout. The second medium mech in the box set is the STY-3C Starslayer. I think the first time I ever saw this mech was from the Mech Commander 2 video game. Tipping the scales at 50 tons, the Starslayer had originally been ordered to replace the Venerable Crab. Due to a variety of issues, not to mention the Ameris Civil War, the Starslayer's production within the Lyran Commonwealth slowed dramatically during the Succession Wars until it was revitalized due to the clan invasion. The Starslayer is armed with 2 large lasers, 1 SRM-4, 2 medium lasers, and 1 small laser. The Starslayer does take advantage of upgraded tech, such as 11 double heat sinks and endosteel. It has a standard fusion engine, so it is not vulnerable to a side torso kill. Moving right along, let's talk about the heavy mech, the OTL-4D Austral. Coming in at 60 tons, the Austral was designed by Ostman Industries and walked off the assembly lines in 2694. The Austral became a very common mech seen throughout the Star League and the Great Houses. The Austral is armed with 2 large lasers and 4 medium lasers. 16 single heat sinks allow the Austral to fire a mix of weapons. I'll be honest, I don't have much experience with the Austral. I remember seeing it in one of the technical readouts, but I couldn't even tell you what it looked like from those technical readouts. I really do like the model though. The QKD 4G Quick Draw is another 60-ton mech that had originally been designed to replace the Rifleman. This obviously didn't happen, but during the Succession Wars, it became a relatively popular jack-of-all-trades mech. It could soften up targets with its LRM-10, and then start stripping away armor with the 4 medium lasers and the SRM-4. The Quick Draw has a decent movement profile of 5.85. 13 heat sinks force the Quick Draw to be careful when firing, especially if it has jumped. It's a fairly solid heavy mech, though it does have some issues punching within its own weight class. The last heavy mech out of the boxed set is the 70-ton CES-3R Caesar. The Caesar is an attempt to reverse engineer the success of the compelling Confederation's Cataphract. The Caesar strode into battle in 3049, taking advantage of many of the technologies recovered from the Helm Memory Core, including an XL engine and double heat sinks. The Caesar is hard-hitting with 1 Gauss rifle, 1 ERPPC, and 4 medium pulse lasers, 2 of which are rear-facing to discourage anyone who's trying to sneak up from behind. 16 double heat sinks means that the Caesar can handle most of the heat from the ERPPC and the medium pulse lasers. The XL engine gives it a movement profile of 4.6. The Caesar does have to worry about a side torso kill with that XL engine, but the Gauss rifle and ERPPC mean that it can move around and hit targets at range without having to get too close. For 1,578 battle value, the Caesar is a solid heavy mech. The DVS-2 Devastator is a 100-ton brute in every sense of the word. Originally designed for the Star League Defense Forces, the Devastator was lost after the Ameris Civil War, until the plans were rediscovered by the Federated Sons. The Fed Sons had to build a downgraded version of the DVS in 3033, but the original vision was revealed in 3048 with the intended technologies integrated into the chassis. The DVS-2 Devastator is a long-range assault mech with 2 Gauss rifles and 2 PPCs to reach out and destroy someone. For closer-in support, it has 4 medium lasers, including one that's rear-facing. The XL engine gives the Devastator a movement speed of 3.5, and the 14 double heat sinks keep it cool as it devastates OP4 mechs. At 2,481 battle value, the Devastator is not cheap, but it will draw the attention of the enemy. Well, we've gone over the mechs, and now it's time to go over the... Oh wait, that's right. The Mercenaries box set also includes some other new plastic vehicles. The 50-ton Maxim is a troop transport, helping to get infantry into place, reposition, or if necessary, escape. The Maxim can carry a full platoon of troops and cruises at a hefty speed of 129 kph. The Maxim does have a bit of a bite for a 50-ton hover tank, able to defend itself with 1 SRM-6, 3 machine guns, 3 LRM-5s, and 2 SRM-2s. You get 2 Maxims in the Mercenaries Boxed set. The last vehicle is the Galleon Light Tank. It's only 30 tons, and it's a support unit, not necessarily a main battle tank. It's armed with 1 medium laser and 2 small lasers. It can't take much damage. The Maxim can be used to flank opponents and draw fire, if only briefly. You get 2 Maxims in the box. I hope you're enjoying this long-awaited unboxing video. If you do, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave me some comments below. These things really help with the Desgra YouTube algorithm. If you're in a position to do so, you can also support the channel more directly by clicking on my Ko-fi link below. Thank you. So, one big question that will be asked, is all of this worth the $75 price tag? For me, and in my opinion, yes. Hell yes. Very much yes. Af. Da. You're getting 8 mechs and 4 vehicles, expansion rules, maps, and the BSP cards. Even if you never plan to use the battlefield support points and stick with Total Warfare for the vehicle rules, it's still a great deal for what you're getting. You can trade any of the contents that you don't want. Part of me wants to get a second copy of the set, but with a regular cover. The mechs in the set will make a great opt for, even if you don't like any of them. But I mean, come on, who doesn't love the quick draw? All in all, you have a great value here, and it helps get some new options on how to play Battletech, and that's always welcome to the game. Well, that's my unboxing video and my review of the Battletech Mercenaries Boxed set. I hope you liked it. What's your favorite unit out of the Mercenaries Boxed set? Do you like the new battlefield support rules, or do you plan to continue to use Total Warfare? What are some of your ideas on how to incorporate the Mercenaries rules into a future campaign? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.